God is ready to catapult you into a fresh realm. I don't know who needs to hear this, but you've been weeping in hidden places, waiting in quiet, asking when the tide will turn. You stayed loyal when it felt like no one noticed. You survived assaults that would have crushed a lesser spirit. You have walked through flames, weathered storms, been pushed aside, felt isolated, and fought battles that rattled your soul. Yet here you are, still upright. I'm here to proclaim with holy certainty, this is not the finale. This is the launch point. This is the breath before your destiny erupts. God is preparing to move in your life in ways no eye has witnessed, no ear has heard, and no heart has imagined. He is working behind the curtain, in the hush, setting the stage to lift you into a realm you have never entered. When God is about to act, He first separates. He draws you away from the familiar so He can shape you in the holy. You may feel like you've been hidden, but hidden does not mean forgotten. Hidden means preserved, protected, set apart for a greater purpose. God hides His chosen ones before He reveals them. He covers what He plans to crown. And you, my friend, have been in the workshop of heaven. God has been refining you, molding you, breaking off every weight, cutting away every distraction, removing every counterfeit connection, because where He's taking you, the old things can't go. There's a stirring in the spirit right now. Something is shifting. The pain wasn't random. The delay wasn't a denial. The loneliness wasn't punishment. It was preparation. You had to be stripped so that nothing would interfere with what God is getting ready to place in your hands. You had to be crushed so that the fragrance of your life would rise like incense before Him. You had to be humbled so that pride wouldn't poison the blessing that is coming. God never promotes without preparation, and you've been in the furnace. You've been under pressure. You've been crying out, "Don't, God, when? God, how long?" But He hasn't forgotten you. He has heard every prayer, seen every tear, and counted every sleepless night. And I came to tell you with fire in my bones, your waiting is not in vain. God is about to launch you, not just lift you, not just bless you, hunt you. That means you're not going back to the same level. You're going into a dimension you've never known, a place of authority, a place of power, a place of favor, a place where your enemies will watch from a distance and know God was with you all along. You see, the enemy tried to bury you, but he didn't know you were a seed. He tried to silence you, but he didn't know. God was amplifying your voice through suffering. He tried to wear you down, hoping you would quit before the breakthrough came, but God sustained you, God strengthened you, God shielded you, and now the time has come. The heavens are declaring it, the earth is groaning for it, creation is waiting for the manifestation of what God has placed inside you. Don't be discouraged by the silence. The silence before the launch is sacred. Rockets don't make noise while they're fueling. They roar when it's time to rise. And you've been fueling in obscurity. You've been gathering strength in secret. But now the countdown has begun. God is aligning the right doors, the right people, the right moment. Everything is about to converge. And when it does, no man, no devil, no system, and no obstacle will be able to hold you back. You may not feel qualified. You may not feel ready. But God doesn't call the qualified. He qualifies the called. And you have been called, not just for survival, not just to get by. You've been called to dominate, to take territory, to walk in divine purpose with boldness, courage, and power. The fire you walked through was the furnace that forged your faith. The betrayal you survived was the training ground for your discernment. The rejection you endured was God's redirection toward your real assignment. God is not just preparing a blessing for you. He's preparing you for the blessing. Because if He launched you too soon, the weight of it would crush you. But now, because you didn't give up, because you kept praying, because you kept believing when nothing made sense, you are ready. You are ready to carry what others couldn't handle. Ready to build what others only dreamed about. Ready to lead, to impact, to shift atmospheres, to walk with authority that comes only from walking with God. And let me tell you this, when God launches you, it won't be a small thing. It won't be a whisper. It will be undeniable. It will silence the mouths of the mockers. It will confound those who doubted you. It will make even your enemies acknowledge the hand of God on your life. You won't need to announce it. You won't need to prove anything. The evidence will speak louder than any words. The fruit will silence every critic. The glory will rest upon you in such a way that people will wonder how you survived what you went through. And you will simply say, God. You see, the launch is not about your talent. It's not about your connections. It's about your obedience. God elevates those who are willing to trust Him when it doesn't make sense. Those who will go where He says even when it hurts. Those who will surrender their plans so He can fulfill His purpose. That's who God launches. Not the loud, not the flashy, but the faithful. The ones who pray in the midnight hour. The ones who forgive when it's not deserved. The ones who keep showing up even when it feels like nothing is changing. That's you. You've passed the test. You've endured the crushing. You've survived the waiting. And now you're on the edge of destiny. The pressure you feel is not an attack, it's propulsion. The pain you feel is not the end. It's the beginning of something bigger than you can imagine. You're not just turning a page, you're stepping into a whole new book, a dimension where favor follows you, where power flows through you, where peace surrounds you like a shield, where your voice carries weight, where your prayers shift atmospheres, where your steps are ordered and your path is lit by the presence of God. The old doors are closing not to punish you, but to push you into what's next. The old relationships are fading, not because you failed, but because you outgrew the soil. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. Positioned for divine encounters, positioned for supernatural acceleration, positioned to walk in rooms that your resume never qualified you for. God is about to open doors that no man can shut, and shut doors that no man can open. He is about to place you in positions where your only explanation will be, this is the hand of God. And as God launches you, understand this, not everyone can go with you. Not everyone will understand the shift. Some will question the change in your life. Not because you're wrong, but because they're too attached to the version of you that fit their comfort. But God is not launching you to stay familiar. God is launching you to be set apart. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out. The new dimension God is taking you into requires boldness, obedience, and unwavering trust. It's a realm where compromise cannot survive and where faith is your only fuel. God does not elevate based on popularity. God elevates based on purity, perseverance, and purpose. You don't need validation from man when you've been commissioned by God. You don't need applause when heaven has already approved you. You've spent too long explaining yourself to people who lack the spiritual eyesight to see what God is doing in your life. Stop shrinking to fit into rooms that were never built for the magnitude of your assignment. Stop watering down your voice to make others comfortable. God is calling you into a dimension where clarity, courage, and conviction will define your every move. This next level requires separation from distractions. God is calling you to a deeper discipline, a higher level of thinking, a sharper level of discernment. You can't carry bitterness where you're going. You can't carry old fears, old wounds, and old patterns. God is trying to take you into a dimension where your spirit is free, your mind is renewed, and your soul is anchored in truth. You're not just entering a season, you're entering a spiritual territory, a domain where your authority is not based on title, but on time spent with God in the secret place. When God launches you, it may feel lonely at first. The higher you rise, the fewer the voices around you. But don't fear the silence. It's in that silence that God begins to download vision, strategies, instructions, wisdom that this world can't offer. You are being entrusted with revelation that can shake systems, shift lives, and break generational cycles. You are being called to carry a voice that disrupts darkness, a presence that changes atmospheres, a spirit that refuses to settle for the ordinary. The dimension God is launching you into is not for the faint of heart. It's not for those who live to please the crowd. It's for those who walk by divine instruction, those who can hear the whisper of God in the middle of noise, those who won't bow to pressure, who won't fold under fire, who won't compromise their integrity for temporary recognition. This is a dimension for the brave, for the pure, or the surrendered. Do you not perceive it? Do you not feel it stirring? God is doing a new thing, not just around you, but inside of you. Your thoughts are changing. Your appetites are changing. Your circle is shifting. Your vision is becoming clearer. You no longer crave what once satisfied you, because your spirit is hungry for what only God can provide. You're no longer distracted by surface-level pursuits, because your soul is now chasing after deeper purpose. God is releasing you from things that no longer serve your destiny. You thought they were losses, but they were actually divine subtractions. You thought it was rejection, but it was protection. You thought it was a closed door, but it was a divine redirection. And now that the clutter is being cleared, now that the fog is lifting, you can finally see what God has been trying to show you all along. You were born for more. Not more in terms of material things, but more impact, more clarity, more peace, more obedience, more spiritual authority. God is calling you to a place where your prayers shift nations, your words pierce the hearts of many, and your life becomes a living testimony of the power and sovereignty of God. This is not about fame. This is about fire, a holy fire, a spiritual boldness that will make you walk into rooms and shift the atmosphere without saying a word, because the glory of God will rest on you so heavily that people will feel the weight of your obedience. You didn't go through the pain for nothing. You didn't endure the wilderness to die in it. The dry places were a proving ground. God was watching how you responded when no one else was clapping. He was watching how you responded when your prayers seemed unanswered, when people turned their backs on you, when you had every reason to quit, but you chose to keep going. That's what God honors. Not perfection, but perseverance. Not charisma, but character. And because you remain steadfast, God is now raising you up. You've been faithful over the small things. Now God is about to make you ruler over greater. But understand this, with greater elevation comes greater responsibility. With greater visibility comes greater accountability. You cannot walk into this new dimension carrying an old mindset. You must be renewed, refined, re-entered in the presence of God. Because where you're going, distractions can destroy you. Pride can poison you, but humility will preserve you. So guard your heart, stay in alignment, keep your motives pure. Let your yes to God be louder than your fear of man. Let your hunger for truth be stronger than your desire for applause. Let your obedience be swift, your prayer life be deep, and your spirit be sensitive. Because in this next dimension, God is going to speak in ways you've never heard before. He's going to move through you in ways that will surprise even you. Doors will open that you didn't even knock on. Resources will appear from unexpected places. Favor will follow you like a shadow. But you must remain grounded, rooted, anchored in God and God alone. The treasure of people will ask, "How did this happen? How did you rise so fast? How did you walk through all of that and still carry peace?" And you will say, "It was only God. Not my strength, not my plan, not my wisdom. It was God. Every step, every door, every victory, God." Because when God launches you, He makes sure you don't get the glory. He makes sure that those who see you know there is a divine hand at work. You are not entering this new dimension to impress. You are entering to impact, to build, to transform, to walk with authority that breaks chains off others, to release a sound that wakens sleeping spirits, to carry a fire that revives the broken. God didn't save you for comfort, He saved you for purpose. And that purpose is now being ignited. When God begins to launch you into a new dimension, you must prepare for the unfamiliar. The new dimension is not just a place of promotion, it is a place of precision. It is not simply a reward for your suffering, it is a responsibility for your calling. The level of accountability increases because you are no longer just surviving battles. You are now commanding in them. You're no longer reacting to the attacks, you are discerning them before they come. In this new realm, your spirit must be sensitive, your mind must be sharp, and your heart must remain surrendered to God alone. God does not elevate for the sake of ego, He elevates for the sake of impact. And He chooses those who have been emptied of pride, stripped of self-will, and broken enough to know that without Him, they are nothing. If you still seek the approval of people, you are not ready for what God is about to do. If you still crave comfort more than calling, then this dimension will intimidate you. But if you are hungry for God, if you are willing to move by His instruction, even when it disrupts your logic and stretches your faith, then get ready. You are entering the realm of divine movements. This is the dimension where obedience trumps understanding, where the instructions God gives you may not always make sense in the natural, but your spirit will know they carry the weight of destiny. When God told you to walk away from that place, when He shut that door you thought you needed, He wasn't taking from you. He was preparing the platform for your launching, because what is coming requires total alignment. Partial obedience will not sustain you here. God is calling for the kind of surrender that says, even if I don't understand, I will trust. Even if I don't see it now, I will believe. Even if it costs me everything, I will follow. In this dimension, God will place you in situations that stretch your capacity, not to break you, but to build you. He will allow circumstances to expose your weaknesses, not to shame you, but to strengthen your dependence on Him. You are being equipped with spiritual weapons that do not rust with time: patience, discernment, restraint, peace in chaos, wisdom in uncertainty, silence in storms. These are not traits the world teaches, but they are traits heaven honors. They are marks of those God launches. Some of you have been through spiritual isolation, and you wondered why God removed you from everyone. But isolation is often divine incubation. God placed you in solitude to speak to you without noise. He distanced you from the crowd so He could draw you close to Him. What you thought was rejection was preservation, because God would not allow voices to contaminate the vision He was birthing in you. And now the vision is ready. The time has come. But He wants you to know this launch is not about applause, it's about assignment. It's not about being seen, it's about being sent. When God launches you, you cannot take old habits into new heights. You cannot cling to broken mindsets while expecting breakthrough. The new dimension requires internal transformation before external elevation. And that's why you had to go through the crushing. That's why the process was long. That's why it felt like you were forgotten. Because God was not only preparing the path for you, He was preparing you for the path. The weight of what you are about to carry demanded a deeper root system. Shallow faith cannot sustain divine assignment, and so God took His time with you. Don't despise the stretching. Don't resist the pruning. Every tear, every unanswered prayer, every lonely night was molding something eternal in you. God saw what you could not see. He foresaw the battles you would face in this next level. And in His mercy, He didn't rush your process. He covered you while you healed. He refined you while you doubted. He matured you while you waited. And now that your roots are deep, now that your foundation is strong, He is about to propel you with such force that you will look back in awe at how quickly things changed. But with that speed comes stewardship. What God is placing in your hands must not be misused. Your influence, your voice, your time, your impact, all of it must remain surrendered. God did not raise you to glorify yourself. He raised you to reflect His power, to point others to Him, to build what will outlive you. And that's why your name doesn't need to be known, because your life will carry a weight that names can't hold. Your presence will shift atmospheres, not because of who you are, but because of the one who walks with you. The enemy tried to confuse you because he saw what was coming. He tried to cloud your mind with fear, with self-doubt, with distractions. He tried to convince you that you were too late, too broken, too insignificant. But what the enemy didn't understand is that your launch wasn't based on your perfection. It was based on your perseverance. You kept showing up. You kept seeking God. You kept praying in the middle of the storm. And now the heavens are aligning. Now the gates are opening. Now the winds are shifting in your favor, not because of man, but because of God. And when God launches you, it won't be subtle. The change will be undeniable. The shift will be sudden. Doors you couldn't even find will open before you. Resources you didn't ask for will come to you. People who once ignored you will try to reach for you. But you'll know that your help comes not from people, but from God. You'll walk through rooms with a calm confidence, not because of what you wear, but because of what you carry. And you will move with purpose. You will speak with clarity. You will serve with humility, because you will know this is not your doing. This is God's divine movement and God light here. There will be moments where it feels overwhelming, where the weight of the assignment feels heavy. But remember this: if God launched you into it, He will sustain you through it. His strength is made perfect in your surrender. His guidance is available in your stillness. His provision is hidden in your obedience. You will never lack what you need when you remain anchored in God. He does not send without supply. He does not call without covering. He does not assign without assistance. This is your time. This is the divine window you've been praying for. But you must be courageous. You must rise above the noise, walk past the fear, and step into what God has prepared. The atmosphere around you is about to shift. The people connected to you are about to witness a transformation they cannot explain. Not because you became someone else, but because you finally stepped into who God always said you were. And in that step, the old you falls away. The small thinking dies. The limited living is destroyed. Because when God launches, He leaves no room for the ordinary. So walk into this next dimension with boldness. Carry the fire of your trials with you. Let it fuel your passion, deepen your compassion, and elevate your intercession. You've been through too much to play small. You've endured too long to second-guess the calling. God is not just lifting you, He is entrusting you. He is placing you where you will influence, restore, and build for His purpose. The old season was your classroom, but now it's time for deployment. The tests are over, the refining is complete, the wind is behind you, the door is before you, and the voice of God is saying, "Go." You are not who you were. You are who God has shaped through the fire. You are not defined by where you came from, but by where God is sending you. Let that truth steady your feet. Let it silence every doubt, because God is not done. He is only beginning. And you are His vessel for this moment. You are His messenger for this generation. You are His warrior for this battle. And now, by His will, by His timing, and for His glory, God is launching you. God is not launching you for convenience. He is launching you for conquest. This is not about stepping into a more comfortable season. This is about stepping into a season of spiritual dominion. You are about to walk into a territory that the enemy once ruled, and your very presence will shake the foundations of darkness. When God launches, it is not for display, it is for disruption. The systems that once oppressed you will now bow to the power God is placing in your voice. The same battles that used to overwhelm you will now be under your feet, because God is not just promoting you, He is positioning you as a force for His divine agenda on earth. Understand the weight of what's being released into your life. This goes beyond a single victory. It moves through generations. The chains you shatter now will liberate faces you'll never meet. The thresholds you step across will remain open so others can follow. The prayers you whispered alone are igniting flames in places you've never set foot. You are more than a beneficiary of God's favor. You are its steward. And carrying something that potent means you cannot treat it lightly. Walk with awe, with deliberate purpose, with fire in your marrow and purity in your motives. In this new realm, God will sometimes call you to voice what others fear, to expose what others ignore, to stand unshaken when others bend, to bring comfort. Do not pull back. Do not dilute the message to make it easier for the spiritually asleep to swallow. You have not been called to lull the weary into deeper slumber. You have been called to awaken the dry bones. You have been chosen to carry a voice that resurrects dead visions, revives broken dreams, and restores wounded hearts. The shift that is coming will not be without resistance. When God begins to launch you, forces will rise to distract, to delay, to derail. But stay focused, stay planted, stay drenched in prayer, because the enemy doesn't attack what isn't a threat. And you, because of what God has placed inside you, are a threat to the kingdom of darkness. Your presence in this world is not an accident. Your pain was not in vain. Your warfare was not wasted. Everything you've endured has prepared you to walk in spiritual boldness. And now that God is moving, you must be ready to act. This dimension will not operate by sight. It will operate by spiritual sensitivity. You must discern where to go, what to say, when to move, and when to be still. Every step must be surrendered. Every decision soaked in prayer. You are not being launched for performance. You're being launched for purpose. And that purpose is not about platforms. It's about people. It's about impact. It's about obedience to the divine blueprint God wrote for your life before you ever took your first breath. Be warned, this next season may cost you some relationships. Everyone who started with you is not meant to finish with you. Some were only there to observe your preparation, not participate in your elevation. Let them go without guilt. Let them walk without explanation. Because where God is taking you, not everyone has the spiritual endurance to follow. Do not drag into your destiny what God already removed in your process. This launch is not dependent on the support of man. It is sustained by the hand of God alone. You've spent enough time questioning whether you're ready. God would not launch you if you weren't equipped. You may not feel ready, but your spirit has been made ready through the trials, the tests, the sleepless nights, the broken prayers, and the moments of deep surrender. You were forged in silence. You were strengthened in private. And now God is calling you to arise in power. Not because of who you are, but because of who He is through you. The glory will never be yours. It belongs to God alone. Your story is just the canvas. God is the artist. The world is not in need of more noise. It needs voices that carry the weight of divine encounters. Voices that pierce through confusion with clarity. Lives that reflect the stillness and the strength of one who walks closely with the Most High. You are being launched not to impress, but to illuminate, to be a light in the thickest darkness, to be the echo of truth in a world drowned in deception. You are not called to fit in. You are called to stand out, to rise above, to walk so deeply in your God-given identity that compromise becomes impossible. Do not fear the cost. What you are walking into carries eternal significance. Your obedience now will create waves in generations to come. Your submission to God's timing is setting up divine appointments you haven't yet imagined. You are stepping into a realm where miracles are normal, where favor follows obedience, where your thoughts are not limited by human understanding, but elevated by divine revelation. But all of this requires one thing: complete surrender. Not partial obedience, not delayed submission. God is launching those who are fully yielded. This is a sacred moment, a holy acceleration, a divine release. Heaven has recorded every silent yes, every hidden sacrifice, every private battle. And now God is about to make public what He has refined in private. But this visibility is not for vanity, it is for victory, for others to see what it looks like when a life is laid down for God completely. You're not just going to be noticed, you're going to be needed. You're not just going to be seen, you're going to be sent. You're not just going to speak, you're going to shift lives. You have been marked, you have been chosen, you have been set apart for such a time as this. The spiritual realm is already adjusting to make room for your arrival. Things that once resisted you will now open at your command, not because of you, but because God walks with you. Mountains that once stood before you will move. Valleys that once swallowed your joy will now be filled with praise. And places that once knew you as broken will now witness you walking in healing, in purpose, in authority, in power. You must understand that when God launches you, He is not simply shifting your position. He is elevating your entire posture in the Spirit. This is not merely a change of location or situation. It is a transformation of how you walk, how you speak, how you think, and how you war in prayer. This new dimension is not for the emotionally fragile or the spiritually lukewarm. It is for those who have been made firm through fire, who have been taught by tears, and who have come to know God not by comfort, but by covenant. You didn't arrive here by luck. You were carved by divine hands, shaped through hardship, and now you are being released to reflect the power of the one who has held you together in your breaking. In this divine season, your movements must be intentional. Your voice must carry clarity. Your steps must be synchronized with God's timing. You can no longer afford to walk by impulse or emotion. Your mission is too great, your purpose too weighty. The margin for error is narrow because where God is taking you, your obedience will be the key that unlocks doors not only for you, but for generations after you. The new dimension God is ushering you into demands a new level of discipline. The comfort of yesterday's routine will not survive in the territory of tomorrow's calling. The language of fear must be replaced with the language of faith. The thoughts of limitation must bow to the truth of divine provision. God is not simply elevating your life, He is shifting your influence. He is turning your pain into a platform, your silence into a sound, and your endurance into evidence. The things that once intimidated you will now serve as reminders of your growth. You no longer respond the same. You no longer fear the noise. You no longer shrink under pressure. You've learned that the most powerful oil flows only after the olive is crushed. And now God is pouring from your life the fragrance of endurance, the aroma of righteousness, the strength that comes from complete dependence on Him. Do not become intoxicated by visibility. Remember, the launch is not the destination. It is the doorway. The dimension God is calling you into is not about being seen, but about being trusted. Being trusted to speak when it's easier to stay silent. Being trusted to remain pure when temptation knocks. Being trusted to serve without recognition, to give without condition, and to love without limit. You are being trusted with territory, spiritual territory that will test your identity, challenge your consistency, and require your unwavering focus. Do not mistake the pressure for punishment. What you feel now is the weight of assignment pressing against your comfort. It is the weight of glory resting on a vessel that has been made ready. You are not being crushed anymore, you are being carried. And God carries those whom He sends. God protects those whom He chooses. There is a hedge around your purpose. There is fire surrounding your steps, and the very things that once wounded you will now become weapons in your hands. Prepare yourself, because not everyone will celebrate this launch. There will be those who question it, those who critique it, those who try to diminish what God is doing in your life because they cannot comprehend it. But you must remain unmoved. Let their doubts strengthen your resolve. Let their silence sharpen your dependence. Let their distance drive you deeper into the presence of God. You were never meant to be defined by the applause or absence of people. Your value is rooted in the one who called you before you were even born. You are stepping into a realm where divine insight will replace natural logic, where God will reveal things to you before they happen, where your decisions will be led by peace, not pressure, where your presence will carry solutions, not just emotions. The world is not desperate for more talk. It is desperate for those who walk in the authority of truth. And you, child of God, have been appointed for such a time as this, not to echo the world, but to echo eternity. Do not be distracted by delaying. Divine timing is always perfect. The delays you experienced were not denials. They were divine layers being added to your strength. The season where you saw no movement was the season where God was moving the most within you. You thought nothing was happening, but deep in the soil of your surrender, God was planting power. Now the roots have grown, the foundation has been tested, and what is about to spring forth will not be shallow or short-lived. It will be sustained because it was birthed in alignment. As God launches you, prepare for acceleration. You will cover more ground in less time. You will receive wisdom beyond your years. You will recover what was lost and even gain what was never expected. This is the power of divine positioning. When God says it's time, nothing and no one can hold you back. Not the systems of man, not the opinions of others, not even the past you thought would disqualify you. God is not concerned with where you've been. He's focused on where He's taking you. He is the one who redeems time. He is the one who restores years. He is the one who turns the rejected into rulers, the broken into builders, and the unknown into unshakable. In this new dimension, your posture must change. No more begging, no more doubting, no more pleading for what you already carry. Walk with quiet confidence, pray with fire, move with wisdom, speak with weight. You are no longer who you used to be. You've walked through too much. You've seen too much. You've overcome too much to live like you're still in waiting. You're not waiting anymore. You're walking. You're not wondering anymore. You're witnessing. God is making it happen now, here, through you. So let the fear fall off. Let the shame dissolve. Let the comparisons be silenced. You don't need to look like anyone else, sound like anyone else, or move like anyone else. You were never meant to fit in. You are called to stand out, set apart by God's own hand. And when God marks you, there is no duplicate. When He launches you, it is not a repeat, it is a revelation, a new sound, a new strength, a new season. This is not just your moment, it is your mandate. You are not entering lightly. You are being released with fire, with purpose, with divine permission. What lies ahead is sacred. Guard it, honor it, steward it, and above all, remember this: the same God who lifted you will keep you. The same God who launched you will lead you. And the same God who called you will finish what He started in you. This is not the season for hesitation. When God launches you, hesitation becomes disobedience. You must respond when God speaks. Even if the road ahead is uncertain, even if the steps are invisible, even if the cost is high, because delayed obedience is still disobedience. And what God is doing in this new dimension will require a sharpened spirit, a quickened heart, and a posture of immediate surrender. The time for questioning is over. The time for second guessing is over. Now is the time to move with divine precision, to act with spiritual urgency, to step forward without apology and without fear. The moment you begin to walk in what God has ordained for you, resistance will increase. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're doing something right. The forces that once tolerated you will begin to tremble at your presence. The enemy doesn't war against the complacent. He wars against the obedient. He targets those who carry fire, those who carry purpose, those who are dangerous to darkness. But what he doesn't realize is that your foundation is no longer built on emotion. It is built on revelation. You are no longer driven by what you feel. You are anchored by what you know. And what you know is that God has called you God has prepared you, and now God is launching you. You are stepping into territory where comfort cannot follow. In this new dimension, sacrifice becomes your offering. Praise becomes your weapon. Stillness becomes your strength. This is not the realm of religious ritual. This is the realm of spiritual reality. A reality where every step you take is guided by divine insight. A reality where you don't just survive, you command. You legislate in the Spirit. You shift atmospheres. You speak with weight, and your words release freedom. You declare with boldness, and chains begin to break. Not because of your eloquence, but because of the authority that flows from your alignment with God. People may not understand this version of you. They knew you in the wilderness. They knew you in the valley. But now, as you rise, some will try to reduce you to who you used to be. Let them talk. Let them wonder. You do not owe explanations for a move of God. The fruit of obedience will speak louder than any defense. The favor on your life will be the confirmation. You won't need to promote yourself. You won't need to push open any doors. When God launches you, the doors swing open by themselves. Not because of who you are, but because of who sent you. Because in you, this launch is not meant to inflate your name, it's meant to magnify God's plan. Your influence is not the prize, it's the platform for impact. And with that platform comes responsibility. Responsibility to remain holy when the crowd cheers, to remain humble when the spotlight shines, to remain hidden in the secret place even when your name is on the lips of many. Because the higher God lifts you, the deeper you must go with Him. Elevation in the Spirit is sustained not by popularity, but by prayer. Not by performance, but by purity. Not by charisma, but by consistency in the presence of God. There will be moments in this new dimension where you will feel the pressure to compromise, pressure to dilute the message, pressure to soften your voice to accommodate the comfortable. But remember, God did not launch you to entertain. He launched you to awaken. You are not here to echo culture. You are here to establish the standard of truth. You are not called to blend in. You are called to stand up, to speak when it's not popular, to confront what is corrupt, to walk with integrity in a world that celebrates deception. This is the assignment. This is the burden, and this is the blessing. God does not launch the distracted. He launches the devoted. He does not elevate those who seek applause. He elevates those who seek Him. And if your eyes remain fixed on Him, there is no height too great, no calling too weighty, no battle too fierce. God will give you grace for the assignment, strength for the warfare, peace for the journey, and wisdom for every step. You will not be led by fear, you will be led by fire, a fire that cannot be quenched, a fire that was birthed in nights of agony, long hours of prayer, and a heart that refused to give up even when it was breaking. The Lord doesn't dare just touch it, He lets it. You are not just crossing into a new season, you are stepping into divine timing. Everything that felt delayed, every door that didn't open, every relationship that ended, every path that closed, it was all orchestrated by God. He was not withholding from you, He was preparing you. He was stretching your capacity, training your ears, strengthening your resolve. And now, what was once a mystery will soon become a testimony. What confused you in the dark will make sense in the light. What felt like loss will now be seen as protection. You are being led, not left. You are being chosen, not overlooked. You are being elevated, not by men, but by the Most High. And hear this clearly. You do not need the support of many when you are backed by God. You do not need the validation of those who once ignored your calling. You do not need permission from those who doubted you. God has already declared it. The command has already been spoken in the heavens. The launch has already been activated in the Spirit. Now it's time for your steps to match your revelation. Now it's time to walk in what you've prayed for, what you've cried for, what you've fasted for. This is the dimension of fulfillment, the dimension of execution, the dimension of walking out every promise God whispered to your spirit when no one else was listening. This is the call to listen. So stand. Stand without fear. Stand without delay. Stand without regret. You do not stand by yourself. The presence of God walks ahead of you. His strength wraps around you. His voice directs you. His hand holds you steady. This is the moment of spiritual growth, of living with unwavering purpose, of speaking truth with focus, of keeping silent when it's wise, and roaring with authority when it's commanded. You are not simply invited, you are set apart. Not just talented, you are ordained. Not just prepared, you are released. And once God releases you, no power on earth can undo it. So remain in His presence, walk in His will, hunger for His word, and let your life be the undeniable testimony that when God sends you forth, nothing is ever the same. Listen carefully, because what I'm about to say could be the single most important truth you hear all day. A smiling face does not always hide a loving heart. A warm handshake is not always a promise of peace. A gentle voice is not automatically a vessel of God's Spirit. There is a battle unfolding beyond our sight. While many move through life as if blind and deaf, those whose hearts are tuned to God can read the warnings clearly. Evil rarely arrives wearing obvious masks of flame and horns. More often it slips in, wrapped in charisma, hidden behind manipulation, and painted over with deceit. Yet God, in His boundless wisdom, has not left you helpless. He marks the red flags. He sets down alarms. He murmurs caution into the spirit of those who walk in His light. God is not the author of confusion. And where evil dwells, confusion reigns. There are those who pretend to walk in the light, but their footsteps betray them. Their fruits are rotten, though they paint the tree in gold. And I declare to you today, if you are walking with God, He will not allow you to be deceived. But you must open your eyes and see. You must open your ears and listen, because the evil in this world hides behind polished faces and honeyed tongues. The first sign of evil is the absence of repentance. Listen to me now. Evil never says, "I was wrong." Evil never bows in humility before God. Instead, evil justifies itself. It twists the truth until wrong becomes right in its own eyes. These people will lie to cover their sin. But worse, they will lie to themselves. A person who cannot admit their wrongdoing is a person who has removed God from the throne of their conscience. They place their ego above truth. And when a man or woman does that, the spirit of darkness finds a home. If you see someone who always blames others, who never bends the knee to correction, know this: they are not walking with God, no matter how loudly they speak of Him. The second sign is manipulation. Evil loves to control without force. Evil wraps itself in sweet words and false promises. It lures, it charms, it flatters. It does not take the sword to your throat. It seduces your mind. Evil people are often the most persuasive, the most convincing. They know how to make you doubt yourself and trust them. But God has given you a spirit of truth. He has given you the ability to sense when something is off. Don't ignore the feeling in your spirit when someone says all the right words, but their presence feels wrong. Evil people operate through manipulation, not honesty, through pressure, not peace. When someone constantly seeks to bend your will for their benefit, watch closely, for evil is near. The third sign is a delight in the downfall of others. Evil people rejoice when others fall. They gossip with pleasure. They spread rumors with a smile. They secretly clap when someone loses their job, their peace, their family, because it makes them feel superior. My brothers and sisters, God is not in that spirit. God uplifts. God mourns with the broken. God restores. But evil feeds off destruction. If someone celebrates your pain, if someone tries to crush you when you're already low, that is not a person of God. That is a vessel being used by something far darker. And no matter how well they mask it with kind gestures or spiritual words, if they laugh at another's tragedy, their heart has turned cold to God. The fourth sign is deceit. A liar walks hand in hand with the forces of evil. Lies are the language of darkness. And the one who lies casually, the one who lies to get ahead, the one who lies to tear another down, they are not just harming others, they are lining themselves with wickedness. God is a God of truth. His presence cannot dwell in a deceitful heart. Evil people will look you in the eye and lie without flinching. They will twist facts, rewrite events, and invent stories because the truth is too inconvenient for them. But remember, truth stands the test of time. Truth will expose the liar. If someone constantly lies and excuses it with smooth words, walk away. Their tongue is a flame that sets fire to everything holy. The fifth sign is arrogance. Oh, how evil feeds on pride. The spirit that says, I am better. The attitude that says, I deserve more. The mindset that refuses to serve but demands to rule. That spirit has no fellowship with God. Arrogance is the beginning of rebellion. It is the seed of every fall. It was pride that turned once glorious beings into enemies of God. It is pride that separates the soul from submission. When a person walks with arrogance, they believe they are above rebuke. They believe they are the judge, not the judged. But those who truly walk with God walk with humility. If you meet someone who boasts endlessly, who cannot be corrected, who looks down on others as though they were gods among men, know that evil has crept into their spirit. And the longer they feed that pride, the further they fall from the light. The sixth sign is a pattern of destruction. Wherever they go, evil people leave brokenness behind. Broken relationships, broken trust, broken peace. If you trace their steps, you will find people who are used, people who are discarded, people who are wounded and never healed. Evil builds nothing. It only tears down. And those who are being used by evil cannot create harmony because their soul thrives on chaos. God is a builder. He is a restorer. He repairs what is shattered. But evil rejoices in demolition. If someone's presence consistently brings tension, pain, or division, don't ignore that sign. God does not author such confusion. Step back and seek His clarity. The devil sows discord, but God brings peace. And peace is a compass. When it's gone, look around you. Something dark may have entered. The seventh and final sign is a hatred for the truth. Evil people do not just dislike the truth, they hate it. The truth convicts them. The truth exposes them. And so they fight against it. They avoid it. They mock it. And when someone speaks truth to them, they lash out. Not because you are wrong, but because they are trapped in their own deception. A heart that loves God rejoices in truth even when it stings. A heart that belongs to darkness runs from it. If someone becomes hostile when you speak what is right, if they silence you when you speak what is good, then you are dealing with someone who has rejected the truth of God. And where there is no truth, there can be no righteousness. Now hear me, and hear me well. These signs are not given so you may judge others with a hard heart. No, these signs are given so you may guard your spirit, protect your peace, and remain in the presence of God. There is a reason why God told you to be watchful. Evil does not knock on the door shouting its name. It whispers, it sneaks, it smiles, it pretends. But God reveals, God warns, God convicts, and He is speaking to you now through this very word. You have seen these signs before, perhaps in a coworker, perhaps in a friend, perhaps in someone close to your soul. Do not ignore what God is trying to show you. Your safety, your spiritual purity, and your peace may depend on your ability to walk away. And if, as you listen, you begin to see some of these signs in your own actions, let that not be a reason for shame, but a moment for awakening. God does not condemn those who turn. He delivers. He forgives. But you must recognize the signs in yourself too. For it is easy to point the finger outward, but wisdom looks inward. And the one who walks in truth must be willing to confront their own darkness. Pride must fall, lies must die, manipulation must end, for only then can you walk fully in the light of God. Evil thrives in darkness, it breathes in silence, it grows in spiritual ignorance. But God has sent you this message as a lamp unto your feet. You were not called to be blind. You were not created to be fooled. You were not chosen to be used by the enemy. You are a vessel for the light, and the closer you walk with God, the clearer you will see. Don't be deceived by charm. Don't be fooled by titles. Don't be silenced by pressure. Evil can wear any face, but it cannot imitate the Spirit of God. And when God is truly present, there will be peace. There will be humility. There will be truth. There will be purity. Then I tell you now, the time for silence is over. God is calling His people to a higher discernment, not a discernment rooted in suspicion or paranoia, but one rooted in divine awareness, a holy sensitivity to what is of God and what is not. Too long have many tolerated darkness in their lives, not because they were weak, but because they were unwilling to see the signs. Evil does not always come to destroy you with force. It often comes to distract you, to delay you, to drain you. And before it destroys your house, it first desires to enter your mind. It wants to make you question what you know is right. It wants to blur the lines. But when your spirit is anchored in the presence of God, you will see things clearly, and no manipulation can blind you. God gives clarity where evil gives confusion. That is one of the purest signs. In the presence of God, there is peace even in the storm. But when evil is present, there is restlessness even in calm. You could be surrounded by material comfort, but your soul will feel agitated. You could be smiling on the outside, but inside your spirit feels choked. This is not just stress. This is a spiritual warning from God. When you are walking with someone whose presence disturbs your spirit, do not ignore it. That is not your imagination. That is not paranoia. That is God telling you something here is not from me. You do not have to know all the details. You just have to be obedient enough to walk away when He tells you. Some evil people will never reveal their true nature with words, but their actions speak loud enough. Watch how they treat the weak. Watch how they speak about those who can do nothing for them. Watch how they act when no one is watching. God sees what men try to hide, and He gives you glimpses not to make you bitter, but to make you wiser. Do not be the one who keeps giving chance after chance to someone who God has already exposed. If God shows you someone's true character that is not cruelty, it is mercy. He is protecting you from what you cannot yet see. He is preserving your purpose from contamination. Don't allow pity to override divine wisdom. It is not unkind to walk away from someone who is destroying your peace. It is obedience. And let me speak to your heart now, because someone listening has been spiritually tied to the wrong people for far too long. You thought you were being loyal. You thought you were being loving. But in the name of love, you tolerated poison. In the name of faithfulness, you allowed evil to make a nest in your life. You've been drained, discouraged, and confused. But God is shaking your soul today. He is saying, come out from among them. He is saying, clean your circle. Because evil does not always need to possess you. It just needs to be near you to slow you down. It doesn't need to destroy you directly. It just needs to distract you long enough that you miss your divine timing. God did not create you to survive. He created you to thrive. But you cannot thrive while you are entangled with those who serve darkness, whether knowingly or unknowingly. And let's be clear, not everyone who carries evil is aware of it. Some people are being used by spirits they do not understand. They operate under jealousy, under rage, under pride, and they don't even know it. But that's why God calls you to walk in wisdom. Your responsibility is not to fix them. It's to recognize them and act accordingly. You are not their Savior. You are a servant of God, and your duty is to protect what God has planted in your soul. There comes a moment in every person's life when God begins to separate. He begins to divide what is holy from what is harmful, what is pure from what is poisonous. And if you are in that moment, do not resist it. God removes not to punish, but to preserve. He takes away to protect. He exposes not to shame, but to sharpen. And you must be willing to accept what God shows you, even if it hurts. Because some of the greatest delays in your life have not come from external attacks. They've come from internal connections. People you kept too close. Voices you gave too much access to. Relationships you refused to release. But now is the time to obey. God has a calling over your life. He has appointed you for impact. But you cannot carry out that calling while you're yoked to people carrying spirits of deception. And let me tell you something, the enemy is strategic. If he cannot destroy you, he will distract you with friendships that feel good but are spiritually toxic. He will connect you with people who applaud your talents but drain your anointing. He will place people in your life who feed your ego but starve your soul. But if you stay close to God, you will begin to feel when something is off. He will cause your spirit to become restless around certain people, not out of hatred, but out of spiritual warning. That uneasiness is not rudeness, it's revelation. And let me speak boldly. Stop ignoring red flags just because you're afraid to be alone. God never called you to cling to evil for comfort. You were not made to blend in with darkness for the sake of companionship. When God sets you apart, He also requires you to walk alone at times. But it's better to walk alone with God than to walk with evil and lose your soul's clarity. Evil people will use your kindness against you. It will guilt you into staying, manipulate you into silence, and twist your loyalty until you can't even recognize yourself. But God is your defender. God is your clarity. And if He has called you out, don't look back. Some of you have been questioning your instincts. You have been asking, why does my heart feel heavy around this person? Why do I always feel drained after talking to them? Why do I lose my peace when I'm near them? And God is answering you right now, because I never placed them in your life. I never assigned them to your spirit. They are a distraction, not a destiny. God is not the author of anxiety. He is the giver of peace. And where there is no peace, you must pause. Where there is spiritual weight, you must pray. Where there is confusion, you must separate until God speaks. And hear this now. Evil may be subtle, but it is not stronger than the Spirit of God within you. When you walk with God, you walk in power. You do not need to fear those who carry darkness. You do not need to cower before those who hate truth. For greater is God who is with you than the schemes that rise against you. You have the authority to rebuke what is not of God. You have the right to walk away. You have the wisdom to discern. But only if you stay connected to God daily. You cannot walk in clarity if you are disconnected from the one who gives sight. Do not let popularity confuse you. Do not let charisma deceive you. Evil people often rise quickly, but their fall is inevitable. God may allow them to shine for a season, but their roots are rotting. And when the storm comes, they will collapse under the weight of their own deception. But those who walk with God will stand firm. They will not be shaken even when evil surrounds them, because the foundation of the righteous is built on the unshakable truth of God. You don't need to expose evil with your mouth. Just walk in the light, and the light will do the exposing. God fights for the pure. He defends the upright. You don't need to prove anything. Just stay aligned with God, and everything not sent by Him will fall away. Evil has an expiration date, but righteousness has eternal reward. And let this truth sink deep into your soul. God does not remain silent forever. When evil rises, God responds. When darkness creeps in, the light of God does not retreat. It shines brighter. He watches in patience, but not in passivity. He sees the schemes of the wicked, the plots formed in secret, the words spoken behind closed doors, and in His perfect timing, He brings every hidden thing into the open. You may have wondered why God allows certain people to thrive in their wickedness for a season. But do not confuse delay with approval. God allows space for repentance. But when that space is abused, His justice will not be withheld. Evil will never have the last word. God will. He will toastable justice. He will reap the gospel. He will call the earth God. There are people in this world whose entire mission is to sabotage what God has planted in others. They are not creators, they are destroyers. They do not build, they infiltrate. They do not uplift, they entangle. Their words sound sweet, but their hearts are full of poison. They disguise envy as advice. They applaud you with hands that hide a trap. So be watchful. For with every increase from God, you must guard the soil of your life. Not every cheer comes from a sincere heart. Some will rejoice at your wins, only to linger close enough to derail your next move. That's why you should pray for God to cleanse both your road and the people around you. When God begins to lift you up, He also creates separation. The higher you ascend, the sharper your discernment must be. You cannot bring vipers into the season ahead. You cannot rise while tied to burdens designed to pull you down. And hear this, some who mean harm will not step away on their own. They will cling like vines to your life, posing as helpers, while slowly draining your spiritual strength. So stand firm. Remember, God is the gardener. He will prune, He will cut, He will tear away every false vine, not to hurt you, but to prepare you. Your growth requires removal. Your peace requires boundaries. And your destiny requires obedience. Don't cry over what God removes when you prayed for protection. Some of you are weeping over friendships and relationships that God Himself dissolved. And He is saying, you asked for peace, I had to remove the ones who were stealing it. You asked for clarity, I had to silence the voices of deception. You asked to walk in my will, I had to remove those sent to distract you from it. Evil people will often leave with drama, confusion, and blame. Let them go. Do not chase what God has cut off. Your healing begins at the door you finally stop reopening. And understand this, evil people often carry the spirit of accusation. They project their darkness onto others. They accuse the innocent. They twist facts to favor their narrative. They pretend to be victims while orchestrating chaos behind the scenes. If you've ever been falsely accused, slandered, or misunderstood by someone you once trusted, know that God saw it. He saw the lies, He saw the manipulation, and He is not blind to your tears. Your vindication may not come through a public apology, it may not come through confession, but it will come through divine reversal. When God vindicates, He doesn't just clear your name, He elevates your life. He blesses you in the sight of those who tried to curse you. He prepares a table before you, not in privacy, but in the presence of your enemies. You do not need revenge. You do not need to fight with flesh and blood. Your battle is not against faces, it is against spirits. And your victory is in staying aligned with God. Evil wants you to retaliate. It wants you to curse back, to gossip in return, to slander, to plot. But when you stay silent and surrender it to God, He fights battles you didn't even know were forming. He shuts mouths you never even heard. He dismantles plans that never reach your ears. This is the power of walking in righteousness. Your silence speaks louder than their schemes. Let me also tell you something powerful. You become what you tolerate. If you entertain evil, it begins to shape your perspective. If you excuse evil, it begins to affect your choices. If you protect evil, it begins to corrupt your heart. There is no neutral ground when it comes to righteousness. You're either pushing back against the darkness, or you're allowing it to inch closer. And evil doesn't enter your life all at once. It creeps, it tests, it knocks softly. But when you open the door even a little, it enters boldly. That's why you must be ruthless in your discernment, gentle with people, but fierce in your boundaries, merciful in spirit, but unshakable in truth. God is calling His people to rise above superficial kindness. Not all kindness is godliness. Sometimes the most godly thing you can do is walk away, to say no, to separate, to protect your spirit from contamination. You don't need to explain yourself to everyone. You just need to be obedient to God. When He speaks, move. When He warns, listen. When He removes, release. Your peace is not worth compromising for the sake of pleasing people who are walking in darkness. And to the one who is weary, God sees your heart. He knows the toll it has taken to deal with hidden enemies, smiling manipulators, and trusted voices that turned out to be weapons. But don't grow bitter, grow wiser. Don't shut down, rise up. This pain is not the end of your story. It is the beginning of your sharpening. God is forging you through this fire. You are becoming more discerning, more focused, more purified. Evil thought it could destroy you, but instead it made you more aware of who truly stands with God and who only pretends. This season is not for soft sight, it is for clear vision. You cannot afford to blur lines anymore. You cannot pretend not to see what God has shown you. You must protect your spirit like your life depends on it, because it does. Every compromise weakens your shield. Every ignored red flag drains your discernment. But every time you choose obedience, your spirit grows sharper. Your heart becomes more aligned with the truth. The fear of God must return to your walk. Not a fear of punishment, but a reverent awe, a sacred commitment to remain in His will no matter the cost. Because in the end, when you stand before God, you will not be held accountable for what they did. You will be held accountable for what you allowed. Let that settle in your soul. You were never created to blend in with the world. You were created to stand apart, to shine in dark places, to walk with integrity even when surrounded by evil. And that is not easy, but it is your calling. Do not envy the evil. Their path may seem wide, but it ends in ruin. Their laughter may be loud, but their souls are empty. Their houses may be full, but their spirits are hollow. What they build without God will collapse. What they gain through wickedness will wither. But you, if you walk with God, you will not be shaken. The winds may blow, the storms may rage, but your roots will go deep. Your foundation will hold, and God Himself will sustain you. He will surround you with the right people. He will shield you from the unseen traps. He will guide you away from every counterfeit connection and into relationships that strengthen your soul. You will no longer be deceived by appearance. You will see with spiritual eyes. You will no longer be impressed by charisma. You will seek character. You will no longer fall for empty words. You will discern the spirit behind the voice. This is what it means to walk in the presence of God. Not just to feel Him, but to see through Him. To look at a smiling face and sense the spirit behind it. To hear a flattering word and detect the motive underneath. To be unshaken, unbothered, unmovable because you know who you are. And when evil tries to return, dressed in a new disguise, it will not find you vulnerable. It will not find you blind. It will find you guarded by truth, covered by wisdom, anchored in God. This is your shield. This is your weapon. This is your strength to walk in step with the Most High, to live in His shadow and to stand in His light. Let every evil plan fall. Let every dark spirit flee. Let every voice of confusion be silenced. And let your life be a testimony, not of how much you avoided, but how much God preserved you from what you didn't even see coming. God is with you, and when He is with you, no evil can stand against you. Not in your mind, not in your heart, not in your house, and not in your future. And now hear this deep within your spirit. There is no greater tragedy than becoming comfortable with evil. There is no greater danger than normalizing what God has condemned. Evil does not always crash into your life. It often seeps in through compromise. It comes through the little things we excuse, the behaviors we tolerate, the company we refuse to confront. And over time, it hardens the heart. It desensitizes the soul. It makes darkness look like wisdom, and truth sound like offense. But when you walk closely with God, He will disturb every comfort that was built on a lie. He will interrupt every relationship that was wrapped in deception, because God will not allow the ones He loves to settle in places where His presence cannot remain. God is not just concerned about what you do, He is concerned about what you allow. Evil people often don't need your participation. They just need your silence. And the moment you begin to remain quiet in the face of wickedness, you begin to give it space. But the one who walks in the fear of God cannot afford to be silent. When righteousness is being mocked, when holiness is being distorted, when truth is being buried beneath culture and convenience, you must rise not with hate, not with arrogance, but with spiritual fire, with the boldness to say, "This is not of God. This does not belong in my home, in my heart, or in my spirit." Some people are not evil in appearance, they are evil in influence. Their words sound gentle, but they lead you away from prayer. Their presence feels familiar, but it drowns out the voice of God. They feed your flesh, but starve your purpose. They pull you into conversations that dim your spirit, into decisions that slowly corrode your peace. And if you don't examine the fruit, you will be seduced by the shade of the tree. But remember, God never calls you to comfort that compromises your calling. He calls you to peace that comes from purity. He doesn't just want your praise, He wants your protection. He wants you to protect the anointing He placed on your life. Let me tell you something. When your discernment increases, your circle will decrease. When your eyes begin to open, your tolerance for nonsense begins to shrink. You will start to feel irritated by conversations that used to entertain you. You'll feel out of place in rooms you once fit in. You'll feel the tug to separate, to retreat, to realign. And that is not isolation, that is God's invitation. He is calling you to consecration because there are levels of peace, levels of wisdom, levels of spiritual power that cannot be accessed while you're surrounded by those who carry spiritual toxins. You cannot drink from the cup of God and still feast at the table of evil. You must choose. God does not bless who you pretend to be. He blesses who you are when no one is watching. And if you truly want His presence to overflow in your life, you must begin to unclutter your heart. Examine your loyalties. Inspect your attachments. Ask yourself, does this person feed my spirit or weaken it? Does this voice align with the will of God or lead me into confusion? These are not questions of judgment. They're questions of spiritual survival. Because in a world where evil hides behind influence, discernment is your shield. And oh, how desperately the world needs people who walk in divine clarity. Not those who echo what they hear, but those who stand on what God has revealed. Not those who blend into trends, but those who are anchored in truth. The evil people of this world are bold in their deception, confident in their chaos. And it's time for the people of God to be even bolder in righteousness, not in pride, not in shouting, but in unshakable conviction. A quiet soul aligned with God has more power than a loud crowd chasing vanity. You may not have a platform, you may not have a title, but if you have the presence of God, you carry more authority than those who rule with corruption. Your prayers shake atmospheres. Your obedience builds unseen walls of protection. Your discernment keeps your home safe from infiltration. Do not underestimate the power of walking upright before God. It is not the loudest that are heard in the heavens, it is the purest, the clean heart, the surrendered will, the soul that says, God, even if it costs me everything, I will not entertain evil. I will not welcome it. I will not protect it. I will stand with you, even if I must stand alone. Some of you are in seasons of exposure right now. God is revealing hearts. He is lifting veils. You are seeing people for who they truly are, not to hurt you, but to heal you. He is showing you conversations that were never meant to reach your ears, attitudes that were hidden behind smiles, intentions that were buried beneath gestures. And it hurts. But this pain is a gift. It is the hand of God separating you from silent sabotage. It is His mercy wrapped in revelation, because He does not want you to be blindsided in the future. He wants you to be anchored now. And when God exposes evil, do not argue with it. Do not negotiate with it. Do not try to make it comfortable. Rebuke it, reject it, remove it. Because what you fail to confront today will confront you tomorrow with greater strength. What you allow in your atmosphere will begin to shape your identity. And once your identity is compromised, your calling begins to slip through your fingers. But not you. Not now. God has sent this word to you as a warning, as a wake-up call, as a declaration. You were not made to blend with darkness. You were made to shine with purity. You were not made to tolerate wickedness. You were made to walk in truth. You were not made to remain bound. You were made to be set apart. So guard your gates, guard your ears, guard your eyes, guard your spirits, because evil does not just want your agreement, it wants your attention. It wants to occupy the space that was reserved for God. But you must decide who gets access to your soul, who gets to speak into your mind, who gets to walk with you in this divine journey. Not everyone deserves that closeness. Not everyone has the purity to stand in your purpose. Let God be your filter. Let Him show you. Let Him cut where you couldn't. Let Him remove what you were too afraid to confront. And when He does, rejoice. Not because you lost something, but because you were delivered from something. Evil may look like gain for a moment, but it is loss wrapped in illusion. And when God takes it away, He's not depriving you, He's preserving you. You don't know the storms He protected you from. You don't know the destruction He blocked. But one day you will look back and say, God, thank you for showing me. Thank you for removing what I didn't have the strength to release. Thank you for opening my eyes. Let this be your prayer tonight. God, remove from me every connection that is not from you. Strip away every alliance that weakens my spirit. Expose every smile that hides a dagger, and build in me the courage to walk away from what you never ordained. This is not a message of fear. It is a call to spiritual maturity, to stop living by feelings and start walking by discernment, to stop chasing comfort and start pursuing holiness, to stop being impressed by the outer and start being aligned with the inner. For God is not concerned with how people appear. He sees their intentions. And if you ask Him, He will show you too. And now let your heart receive this final truth. The power to overcome evil is not found in physical strength, loud voices, or worldly strategies. It is found in unwavering submission to God. It is found in the silent strength of a soul that kneels when no one is watching, that listens for God's whisper in the midst of noise, that chooses righteousness when wickedness is more convenient. Evil cannot stand in the presence of a heart that is fully surrendered. It may try, it may surround, it may even shout, but the soul anchored in God remains unshaken, untouched, and undefeated. You are not weak because you walk away from corruption. You are strong because you choose to walk with God when others compromise for applause. You are not naive because you protect your purity.
You are wise because you understand that what God has placed in you is too valuable to be contaminated by false connections and deceptive influences. You are not alone when you let go of those who carry darkness in disguise. God stands with you. He surrounds you. And when you choose Him over everything else, He fills every void, heals every wound, and lifts you higher than anything evil tried to take away. Do not be surprised when evil people rise around you. It is written that trials will come, but let their rising be your reminder to remain in God's shadow. Evil may succeed for a moment, but its success is built on sand. God is building you on rock. And when the storms come, and they will come, what is built in truth will stand, but what was crafted in wickedness will collapse under its own weight. And hear me with every fiber of your being. There is no evil so deep, no deception so cunning, no person so dangerous that God cannot protect you from it. You do not walk blindly, you walk under divine watch. You walk with spiritual sight that sees beyond the surface. God gives wisdom not to puff you up, but to protect your path. He gives you discernment not to judge others harshly, but to guard what He's planted in your life. What He has entrusted to you is holy. Treat it as such. Your time is holy. Your peace is holy. Your mind, your energy, your calling, these are sacred gifts from God, and they are not to be offered to those walking in rebellion against Him. Do not be afraid to change your circle. Do not fear loneliness for a season. God often isolates before He elevates. He separates before He establishes. And what feels like loss is often divine subtraction, removing what was secretly subtracting from your peace, your strength, and your purpose. When God removes, He always replaces with better. What you release in obedience, He replaces with abundance. But trust Him. Trust His timing. Trust His yes. Trust His no, and most of all, trust His silence. Because even when God is quiet, He is still working. Some of you have spent too long trying to figure out why people changed, why relationships turned, why hearts went cold. But hear this now, it was never about you. It was about the unseen battle over your soul. Evil never attacks the empty. It attacks the anointed. It surrounds the chosen. And if you have been in the fire, if you have felt the sting of betrayal, if you have been pierced by silent warfare, take heart. You are not being destroyed, you are being refined. You are not being abandoned, you are being protected. God has seen every tear, every sleepless night, every cry for clarity, and He has not forgotten you. Lift your head, straighten your back, strengthen your spirit. God is not finished with you. What was meant to break you will build you. What was sent to delay you will develop you. What was designed to confuse you will now clarify you. And when you rise, you will not rise with bitterness, but with boldness. You will not rise with pain, but with purpose. You will not rise with hate, but with heavenly vision, because God has used the darkness to make your light shine brighter. He has used the enemy to teach you how to war. He has used the loss to teach you how to guard what matters. Let this be the moment you stop questioning what God removed and start praising Him for what He's about to release. Let this be the moment you stop entertaining what drains your spirit and start protecting what feeds your soul. Let this be the moment you no longer fear evil people because you are walking hand in hand with the one who has dominion over all creation. And as you go forward, take this final word and seal it in your spirit. Where God dwells, evil has no ground to stand. It cannot invade your thoughts, your household, or the destiny ahead of you. Even when the enemy raises his voice, the Lord's voice thunders louder. Even when the wicked devise clever schemes, God's wisdom outshines them all. Even when shadows close in, a single word from God drives them away. Therefore, lean not on your own might, but rest under the covering of the Almighty. Stand firm in truth. Stand steady in holiness. Stand strong in peace. For every weapon forged against you will be broken. This victory is not because of your own strength, but because of who God is. You are shielded. You are chosen. You are set apart, and no force of darkness can undo that truth. Let your very life declare what it means to walk with God, courageous, faithful, and uncompromising. For when you journey with Him, you walk in light. And in that light, darkness has no place to remain. Beloved brothers and sisters, pause whatever you're doing and let this truth ring through your soul. The pain you feel now will not write the final lines of your life. The trials you're enduring are not your concluding chapter. God has not abandoned you. He has not turned away. He has not shut the door of mercy on you. The season of struggle you find yourself in is only for a time. And I proclaim with every bit of conviction in me, God is ready to bring it to an end. You might be shedding tears in the dead of night. You might be crawling through days that stretch like years. Your spirit may feel crushed beneath burdens you cannot voice. Yet this is not the finish line of your story. In His perfect wisdom, God has already appointed the hour when this storm will break and light will pierce your path. He is the writer of your story, and He never closes the book on you with sorrow. He closes it with meaning. Let the winds rage. Let the thunder crash. Let the darkness feel unending. But you stand firm because God is still writing. He sees the pain you've hidden behind your smile. He sees the strength you use just to get through each day. He sees how you continue to be kind while you're breaking inside. And God says, I have seen your tears. I have heard your prayers. I am coming to close this chapter of hardship. You were not created to live in despair. You were not formed from the dust to spend your days under the weight of suffering. God allowed the trial, yes. He permitted the fire, yes. But He did not bring you this far to leave you in the ashes. He is the one who lifts people out of the pit and sets them on solid ground. And if you are in the pit right now, then get ready. God is preparing your rise in your life. There's some chapters in life that God allows so you can become what you were meant to be. You may not understand the pressure, but it is producing perseverance. You may not understand the rejection, but it is building resilience. You may not understand the silence, but it is strengthening your faith. God is not ignoring you. He is developing you. And when He's done, the page will turn, the dust will settle, and what seemed like suffering will be revealed as shaping. You didn't choose this chapter of hardship, but God allowed it for a reason greater than you can see. The pain wasn't sent to destroy you. It was sent to reveal something within you, something that could not be discovered in comfort. Some of the greatest awakenings happen in the wilderness. Some of the deepest faith
is born in silence. Some of the strongest people are shaped in storms. You are not being punished. You are being prepared.
When God decides to close a chapter, no devil can keep it open. No enemy can reverse His will. When God declares it is finished, then every weapon that was formed against you loses its power. Every chain that tried to hold you breaks. Every voice that tried to silence you is silenced by His hand. He does not need permission. He does not need explanation. When He says the trial is over, it ends. Hold on to that. Hold on with everything you have. If all you can do is whisper in your heart, God, I trust you, then that is enough. Even now, He is moving behind the scenes. Even now, He is arranging divine appointments, opening doors you don't yet see, aligning the right people, and removing obstacles you didn't even know were there. You may not see it with your eyes, but you must believe it with your spirit. God is working. You may feel like everything is falling apart, but what if everything is actually falling into place? What if this hardship was the very thing God used to guide you, to humble you, to protect you from something you didn't even know was coming? Sometimes the greatest blessings are disguised as burdens, and when the curtain is pulled back, you will see that the hand of God was always on your life. The tears you cried in private will be answered in public. The valley you walk through will be the same valley God uses to elevate you. He never wastes pain. He never abandons the faithful. And if you've been holding on, if you've been faithful through the flood, then get ready because your reward is near. God will not allow your suffering to be permanent. He is too kind. He is too faithful. He is too powerful to let hardship write your whole story. The chapter is closing. The fire is fading. The storm is passing. Do not confuse the silence of God for absence. Do not mistake His patience for neglect. He is waiting for the perfect moment, the divine time. And when He moves, everything will change in an instant. You may feel like you're at the end, but God sees it as the turning point. You may be crying, God, I can't take it anymore. And He's whispering, you're almost there. Do you know why it feels heavier right now? Because you're closer than ever before. The enemy knows his time is short. He's throwing everything he can at you because he sees what God is about to release into your life. So stand. Even if your knees are shaking, stand. Even if your heart is tired, stand. Even if your faith feels small, stand. Because when God closes the chapter of hardship, He opens a chapter of restoration. He repays what was lost. He restores what was broken. He renews what was dying. He brings life to barren places. He heals what no human could ever heal. The very thing that tried to break you will be the proof that God rebuilt you. The very hardship that tried to destroy you will become the testimony that inspires others. God is not just closing this chapter to give you peace. He's closing it so that you can be a witness to others walking through the same fire. Your survival has purpose. You are not forgotten. You are not abandoned. You are not being punished. You are being positioned. There is a difference between being buried and being planted. And right now, some of you feel buried. But God says, no, my child, I have planted you. You are not dying. You are about to rise. You are about to grow. You are about to see the light again. Do not underestimate what God can do in a moment. Years of struggle can be overturned in a single act of His will. What you thought was lost forever can be returned, restored, and multiplied. That is the power of God. That is His way. He waits until everyone says it's impossible. Lift your head. Breathe again. Speak life over yourself. Remind your soul that God is still in control. The chapter is almost over.
This pain is not forever. You will not weep always. You will not struggle forever. The night will break and morning will come. Every delay has a divine purpose. Every no from heaven was protection. Every closed door was a redirection. You thought you were being held back, but you were being held together. You thought the silence meant abandonment, but it was preparation. God has not changed His mind about your future. What He has promised you is still on the way. And no hardship can cancel what God has spoken over your life. He is the God who opens rivers in the desert. He is the God who brings water from the rock. He is the God who provides bread from the sky. And He is the same God who is with you now. If He did it before, He will do it again. If He made a way then, He will make a way now. The suffering you've endured has not gone unnoticed. Every moment you chose to trust instead of doubt. Every time you praised when it hurt. Every time you forgave when it felt unfair. God saw it all. And He will reward it. He will honor it. He will bless you in ways that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. He is not just closing the chapter of hardship, He is writing a new one of hope, joy, peace, and provision. But do not rush the process. Do not run ahead of Him. Trust His timing. The same God who allowed the pain will decide when it ends. And when it ends, no one will be able to deny that it was God who did it. Let your faith rise. Let your spirit lift. Let your heart again. This is not how your story ends. This is just a chapter, and God has already prepared the next one. You may feel like your strength is gone, but God's strength is limitless. You may feel like your light is flickering, but He never runs out of power. Rest in Him. Lean on Him. Let go of fear and hold on to the truth that God is faithful. You are still here. You are still breathing. That means He is not done. That means purpose still lives in your bones. That means the best is not behind you, it is ahead of you. The enemy would not be attacking you so hard if there weren't something powerful on the horizon. You're not under attack because you're weak. You're under attack because you're chosen. When God decides to close this chapter, it will be sudden. It will be undeniable. You'll go to sleep burdened and wake up with peace. You'll look back and say, that was the day everything changed. He's not asking you to figure it all out. He's asking you to trust Him while He works it out. And He will. Oh, He will. Not on your timeline, not when you think it should happen, but in His perfect timing. And when that time comes, your weeping will turn into laughter. Your mourning will turn into dancing. Your worry will turn into worship. My beloved, listen closely. For I am not just speaking to your ears, I am speaking to your soul. You have walked through a season of darkness. You have endured hardship that words cannot fully express. You have been tested in the fire, and though others cannot see your scars, God has counted every silent cry, every sleepless night, every ache in your heart. He knows. And not only does He know, He is acting. Even now He is turning the pages of your life, bringing this chapter of sorrow to its end. God is not distant. He is not idle. He is not unmoved by your suffering. While you have been struggling to understand, He has been preparing the shift. While you were wondering why the door wouldn't open, He was building a door that no man could shut. While you were asking how much longer you could survive, He was preparing a breakthrough that would silence every doubt. This is not the end. This is the breaking point of what you've known and the birthing place of what God is about to reveal. Some of you have been walking through affliction, not because you are forgotten, but because you are chosen. There are battles assigned only to those whom God has equipped for deeper purposes. You have not been in this fire because of weakness. You have been in it because God trusted you with the heat. You have not been enduring because you are ordinary. You've been enduring because you were called to carry something extraordinary. God does not put heavy oil on fragile vessels. You are being refined for greatness, not punished by misfortune. Let this sink into your spirit. God never wastes pain. What broke you today will build someone else tomorrow. What crushed you in this season will crown you in the next. You are not going to walk away from this empty-handed. The tears you've sown in faith will return in a harvest of strength, of wisdom, of divine elevation. The very thing the enemy meant to use to break you, God will turn into the weapon of your rising. Now I must tell you something that may shake you. Not every hardship is from the enemy. Some battles are authored by God not to destroy you, but to develop you. He allows some storms not to drown you, but to teach you how to walk on troubled waters. He allows some deserts not to starve you, but to teach you that His provision is not limited by your environment. And when that lesson is complete, when the shaping has done its work, He steps in not a moment too soon and not a second too late, and He closes that chapter. Do not mistake divine delay for denial. What looks like silence is God working behind the veil. There are things in motion you cannot see, doors being opened in rooms you haven't walked into yet, hearts being stirred on your behalf, resources being aligned. The moment God says now, your season of struggle will collapse under the weight of His favor. It will not be gradual, it will be swift. The same way night gives way to day without resistance, hardship will give way to divine peace. If you've been walking through rejection, understand this: rejection is often redirection. Not everything that is taken from you is a loss. Some things must fall away so that the hand of God can be clearly seen. Some relationships must end. Some opportunities must pass you by. Why? Because God is not interested in your comfort. He is interested in your calling. And when the season shifts, you will understand why He said no to things you thought were essential. You are not being reduced, you are being refined. The shaking you've experienced has not come to destroy your foundation, but to expose anything not built on God's strength. He is anchoring you. He is stripping away the distractions. He is preparing you for something far greater than you imagined. But understand this: before God promotes, He prepares. And sometimes preparation feels like punishment. But oh, when God finishes His work, when the final stroke of His hand completes this chapter, you will not recognize yourself. You will rise from the ashes, not bitter, but blessed, not broken, but built, not lost, but led. And the very people who questioned your faith, who watched you struggle, who mocked your hope, they will have no choice but to acknowledge that God was with you all along. Now let me speak to the tired one, the one who's barely holding on, the one who's wondering if it's even worth continuing. You have come too far to give up now. Do not let this valley convince you that there is no mountain ahead. God has not brought you this far to leave you in the wilderness. Keep walking. Every step you take in faith is shaking the gates of your next season. And to the one who's angry at God, who feels betrayed by the pain, you're not disqualified. Even in your frustration, He understands. God is not afraid of your emotion. He sees beyond your feelings into your destiny. He knows that what looks like anger is often just confusion. What sounds like doubt is often the cry of a weary heart. He is not offended. He is patient, and He is still moving on your behalf. What you see as delay, God sees as protection. What you thought was rejection, God calls redirection. He has been guarding you from stepping into things that would have drained your spirit. He has been holding you back, not because He's against you, but because He's saving you for something greater. The enemy wanted to break you in this chapter, but God has preserved you. He has hidden you in the shadow of His might. And when the time comes, He will reveal the glory He has been forming in secret.
You must understand God's deliverance is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet.
Sometimes it comes through endurance. Sometimes it looks like nothing has changed, but something inside you has shifted. And that inner shift is the proof that the outer breakthrough is coming. You are not the same person who entered this storm. You are stronger, you're wiser, you're more grounded in the truth. You have been transformed. This is why your hardship is ending. Not because God wants to relieve you, but because His purpose in it is fulfilled. The pressure has produced perseverance. The trial has sharpened your faith. The crushing has released the oil. And now, as surely as the sun rises after the longest night, God will bring closure to what has tormented you. Not in the way the world gives peace, but with a peace that comes only when the hand of God moves in power. So, brace yourself. The shift is near. Your prayers have not been ignored. They have been stored in the hands of the one who answers in perfect timing. Your cries have not been lost. They have been recorded in the throne room of the Almighty. And the season is coming when every why will be answered with a now. Every wound will be healed. Every drought will be followed by a flood of favor. Let your spirit rejoice, not because of what you see, but because of what God has declared. Let your heart sing, not because your pain is gone, but because you trust the one who holds your next chapter. This is not the time to give in to despair. This is the time to anchor your soul in the promise that God does not lie. If He said the hardship would end, then it must. If He said the night will pass, then it shall. If He said He will restore, then get ready. Restoration is coming. You don't need all the answers. You don't need the full picture. All you need is this truth burned into your heart. God is faithful. He has never failed. He cannot fail, and He will not fail you. The chapter of hardship is not eternal. It has an expiration date set by the very hand that formed the heavens and the earth. And now let this truth resound in the deepest corners of your soul. When God chooses to shift the atmosphere around your life, no force in existence can resist His will. The weight you've been carrying is not eternal. The shadow that has loomed over your life is not permanent. Because when God says enough, the winds will obey, the burden will lift, and the chains will fall. God is not watching you suffer from a distance. He is standing at the threshold of your breakthrough, ready to step in and declare the end of your affliction. Do not let the outward appearance of your circumstances mislead you. God does not define you by what you are walking through. He defines you by what He has already spoken over your life. And nothing you face has the power to cancel His word. God is not limited by time, by human logic, or by the weight of your situation. When He speaks, creation responds. When He moves, no one can reverse it. Your struggle has remained not because God is weak, but because He is wise. He allowed it to serve a purpose, but that purpose will not last forever. You might be standing in a season where every door feels locked and nothing seems to shift. But hear this: God does not need an open door. He is the one who creates doors. He does not wait for approval to act. He does not ask your enemies before blessing you. He does not consult your pain to see if it is finished tormenting you. No, when the appointed time arrives, He will speak, and hardship will vanish like shadows before the rising sun. What you thought would be your ending will become the very platform for a brand new beginning authored by the hand of God. Some of you have been walking through a hidden suffering, an internal storm that no one around you understands. You have smiled in public, but wrestled with fear in private. You've carried the weight of uncertainty and pain without anyone to lean on. But here's what you must understand. You are never alone. God has been there through every silent battle, through every tear you couldn't explain. And He is not just observing, He is gathering every moment of your endurance like treasures in a storehouse. For every quiet act of faith, for every unseen sacrifice, for every night you chose to believe when you had no evidence, there is a divine response coming. There are moments in life when the soul is pressed so deeply you can no longer rely on your strength. And in those moments when you feel you are at your breaking point, God shows you that He is the one holding you up, not your job, not your reputation, not your relationships, not your plans, God alone. And it is in those moments that faith is born, not just belief, but a deep, unshakable trust that even in the dark, even in the silence, God is still in control. Sometimes hardship is God's classroom. It is where He teaches us to listen. It is where He removes the clutter of the world, the distractions of noise, the dependence on people, and teaches us to walk by His voice alone. It is in the furnace that faith becomes fire. And though the fire is hot, though the flames are fierce, it does not consume the one who walks with the covering of God. Instead, it burns away what is unnecessary, and what remains is pure, tested, indestructible. You may not understand why things happened the way they did. You may not understand why you lost what you did, or why certain people walked away, or why your path has been so long and painful. But hear me clearly. God does not waste anything. The betrayal was not pointless. The delay was not empty. The pain was not in vain. He is weaving something out of it all that will one day cause your heart to say, "Now I understand. Now I see what I could not see before." And until that day comes, hold on to the truth that God is not punishing you. He is preserving you, preserving your mind, preserving your peace, preserving your purpose. Some chapters are filled with hardship because God is protecting you from stepping into something too soon. Timing matters, and God's timing is always perfect. When He closes the chapter, it will not just be an escape from pain, it will be an entrance into destiny. God doesn't deliver halfway. He doesn't heal partially. He doesn't restore with limitations. When He moves completely. He shuts doors no man can open, and opens doors no man can shut. He will not leave you in the middle of a storm without an ark. He will not leave you in the heat of battle without armor. He will not leave you in the waiting room forever. A time is coming when the very place that has caused you the most pain will become the ground where God displays His glory through your life. So strengthen your heart, wipe your tears, lift your eyes not to the mountain, but to the one who created the mountain. He is your provider, your protector, your sustainer. He is not just the God who starts things, He is the God who finishes them. The hardship is coming to an end, not because it ran out of power, but because God has declared that it has served its purpose. And when He closes a chapter, it is never a whisper. It is a declaration. It is a shift. It is a divine verdict that says, "No more." Your chapter of hardship is about to be followed by a chapter of peace. Not the peace the world gives, not peace that depends on circumstances, but peace that is rooted in the knowledge that God reigns. Peace that cannot be taken by bad news, by betrayal, by economic shifts, or by fear. That peace is coming. That rest is coming. That new chapter is not a fantasy. It is a promise. And God's promises are not like man's words. They are not empty. They are alive. They carry the weight of divine authority. And when they are spoken, nothing in this world can stop them from being fulfilled. Let this be a wake-up call to your spirit. You are stepping out of the wilderness. You are coming out of the cave of despair. You are being lifted from the shadows into the light of divine favor. And when that light shines, you will not be the same. You will not walk the same. You will not speak the same, because hardship has refined you. God has already written the next sentence of your life, and it begins with redemption. It begins with recovery. It begins with joy that no sorrow can erase. And you will look back on this season not with bitterness, but with reverence. You will say, even then God was with me. Even then He was faithful. So let your faith rise. Let your trust deepen. Let your soul lean into the voice of the one who has carried you this far. Oh, and now let this truth strike the deepest chords of your heart. Every hardship has an appointed end in the eyes of God. It may feel like the pain has become permanent, like the storm is your new identity, like sorrow has become your companion, but that is a lie. It is a lie whispered by fear, sustained by doubt, and fueled by delay. But the truth is this: God has already written the conclusion of your affliction. And it ends with deliverance, not defeat. It ends with restoration, not ruin. God is not pacing the heavens, wondering how to help you. He is not searching for a solution. He is the solution. He is the master planner, the knower of all things, the one who makes a way where there is no way. And when He chooses to act, time itself must obey. When He sends His command, no barrier can remain standing. No condition can resist His decree. That's the kind of power guiding your life. That's the force standing behind your next breakthrough. Some of you have become too familiar with struggle. You've worn your suffering like a second skin. You've been in the fire so long that you've forgotten the feel of peace. But let me remind you today, you were not created to live in bondage. You were not meant to wake up every day expecting pain. You were not meant to live with clenched fists, bracing for another blow from life. No, God did not design you for defeat. He designed you for victory. He did not form you to remain stuck in trials. He formed you to walk through them. And on the other side of that storm, there is a promise waiting that hardship cannot steal. Do you not see it? The very trial that tried to define you is the same trial God is using to elevate you. The very darkness that tried to swallow you is the same darkness God will use to reveal the light within you. The chapter of hardship is not your identity. It is a process. And when the process ends, the promise begins. That's why the enemy has been trying so hard to discourage you. He knows what you're about to walk into. He knows that when God closes this chapter, you will emerge with more wisdom, more clarity, more strength, and more favor than ever before. Let your heart wake up to this reality. God is never late. You may feel forgotten, but heaven has not gone silent. You may not hear answers, but that doesn't mean God is absent. Silence is not a sign of inactivity. It is often the sign of divine preparation. When the seed is planted in the soil, it is unseen. But just because you can't see growth doesn't mean growth isn't happening. God has been cultivating something in the dark, something powerful, something sacred. And when it finally breaks the surface, the world will see what He has been doing in secret. There are blessings that only come after struggle. There is understanding that only comes after wrestling. There is peace that only feels like peace after chaos has tried to consume you. This is why God doesn't always remove you from the fire. Sometimes He lets you walk through it so you can come out with a fire of your own. Not a fire that destroys, but a fire that burns away fear, a fire that refines your character, a fire that fuels your purpose. So do not curse the chapter, do not despise the season. It is coming to a close. But before it ends, make sure you receive what God wanted to plant in you through it. Let the pain deepen your patience. Let the silence sharpen your discernment. Let the delay increase your dependency on the one who controls time itself. Because when this chapter ends, and it will end, you will need everything it taught you. And then comes the shift. The shift so divine that no one will be able to take credit for it but God. A shift so powerful that even your enemies will be forced to acknowledge that something beyond human strength carried you out of that pit. A shift that will remind you that your prayers were never in vain, your tears were never wasted, your waiting was never ignored. The one who heard you in the night will answer you in the daylight, and all will know this was the hand of God. You will not have to fight for recognition. You will not have to chase validation. When God closes a chapter, He doesn't just end the struggle, He honors the survivor. And He will cause those who once overlooked you to see you through new eyes, not because you demanded attention, but because God Himself elevated you. And when God elevates, no man can demote. So what should you do now while you wait for this chapter to close? Stand firm. Do not compromise your character just to escape the discomfort. Do not lower your standards to seek temporary relief. Stay grounded. Stay faithful. Keep walking in the truth. Keep trusting the process. Because the time of testing is also the time of proving. And when it is over, when the trial has run its course, you will emerge with a testimony that no storm can erase. God has already seen your future. He knows what's coming. He knows how it ends, and He's not worried. That's why you don't need to be either. You don't need all the details. You just need the faith to believe that the same hand that allowed this chapter is the hand that will end it. Not because of your strength, but because of His mercy. Not because you earned it, but because He is full of wisdom and compassion. And listen closely. When this chapter closes, you will realize that God not only preserved your life, but He protected your purpose. There are doors you wanted to walk through that God kept shut. There are people you wanted to keep in your life that God removed. There are opportunities you begged for that never came. And one day you will look back and say, "Thank you, God, for not giving me what I wanted, but giving me what I needed." Because what you needed was not always comfort. It was preparation for the call that's coming next. There is glory on the other side of this grief. There is reward on the other side of this wrestling. There is peace on the other side of this pressure. You are not walking through this fire to be consumed by it. You are walking through it so that when others see you on the other side, they will know you have been touched, not by fortune, not by luck, but by the living power of God. He is the one who sustains. He is the one who sees the end from the beginning. He is the one who does not need the approval of man to move on your behalf. And when He moves, the mountains tremble. When He speaks, creation bows. When He decides the struggle is over, it is over. Do not measure the power of God by the pressure of your pain. Do not weigh the promise by the heaviness of the trial. You see only what's in front of you, but God sees the full picture. Every chapter, every turn, every silent cry you whispered into the darkness, You've been waiting and wondering, when will this end? But God has not been still. He has been moving the unseen, shifting the invisible, preparing your path while you were still in the middle of the storm.
The silence you mistook for absence was actually the stillness before the miracle.
Every hardship you've endured has been under God's watchful eye. Nothing slipped past His wisdom. Not one moment of suffering escaped His attention. And when He allows something to come into your life, it's because He already has the power to use it for your good. You are not defined by the attack. You are defined by the outcome. God has already declared. He's not writing your story as it happens. He has already written it. And victory is not at the end of the story. It's woven through every page by His hand. Some of you have felt buried, like life has pushed you so deep into the ground that you can barely breathe. But hear this, you are not buried, you are planted. And when a seed is planted, it goes through pressure, darkness, silence, and isolation. But deep in the soil where no one sees, transformation begins. Roots grow, strength forms. And when the time is right, that seed doesn't just rise, it breaks through the ground with power. That is what God is doing in you. He is not breaking you, He is building you. And when your time comes, nothing will be able to hold you down. You may be surrounded by chaos. You may be standing in the ruins of what once was. But let me tell you, God brings beauty from ashes. He does not leave His people in ruin. He does not abandon what He started. And if everything around you is crumbled, then that only means He's about to build something new, something stronger, something no storm can ever destroy again. God does not restore you to what you were. He elevates you beyond what you imagine. You may have walked through loss, but what is coming will be greater than what was taken. Stop looking at your life through the lens of defeat. Start seeing yourself through the eyes of the one who made you. God doesn't see brokenness. He sees potential. He doesn't see what you lost. He sees what He's about to give. He doesn't see a failure. He sees a vessel ready for His power. And when you finally understand that your hardship was not a punishment but a platform, your spirit will begin to praise Him even before the breakthrough arrived. He began to thank Him even before the breakthrough arrived. There is no power greater than the will of God. No timing more accurate than His divine plan. When God says your season of hardship is over, nothing can stop what comes next. But before He releases the blessing, He builds the foundation. That's why He allowed you to be tested, not to harm you, but to strengthen your roots. So when the winds come again, and they will, you will not be moved. You will stand firm, because what God builds, He builds to last. Let your soul rise in faith today. Refuse to settle into sorrow. Refuse to identify with struggle. You are not weak. You are not forgotten. You are not cast aside. You are the evidence that God still moves in the earth. You are the testimony that survival is not only possible, it is powerful. You have been through what should have crushed you, and yet here you are breathing, hoping, believing. That is not by accident. That is the mark of God's mercy on your life. There will come a time, sooner than you think, when you will look back and barely recognize the person who endured so much. You will look back not with regret, but with reverence, not with shame, but with strength. You'll say, I didn't know it then, but God was with me every step. He covered me when I couldn't cover myself. He guided me when I was walking blind. He held me when I had no one else. And that will become the core of your gratitude. And listen carefully now. God is not asking you to be perfect in this chapter. He is asking you to be faithful. Stay anchored. Stay open. Stay committed to doing what is right even when it's hard, because it's your faithfulness in the fire that activates the next season. Anyone can praise when the sun is shining, but those who lift their hands in the rain, those are the ones God lifts higher when the storm clears. You don't need to prove your strength. Just keep proving your trust. The deliverance that's coming is not random. It's strategic. It's purposeful. God doesn't just close chapters to end suffering. He closes them to release destiny. The pain pushed you. The hardship humbled you. But now comes the reward. Now comes the reward that only God can give. Not man, made, not momentary, but lasting and full of peace. And it won't just affect you. It will overflow. Your healing will heal others. Your rising will inspire others. Your testimony will spark the faith in someone else who's still in the fire. You see, when God closes a chapter, He doesn't leave you standing in the ashes. He lifts you. And He doesn't lift you quietly. He lifts you so those around you will know it was not your own doing, it was His mercy, His power, His hand. And they will ask, how did you come through all that? And you will say, because God carried me. So now, my dear listener, stand still and know that God is not finished with you. The weight you've been carrying, the storms you've survived, the tears you've cried in silence, all of it has been seen. All of it has been recorded by the hand of the one who neither slumbers nor sleeps. And now, by His command, the chapter is turning, not by chance, not by the will of man, but by the decree of God Almighty. The weight of sorrow that has followed you is about to be replaced by peace. The fear that once held your heart captive is about to be shattered by heavenly assurance. Every closed door, every broken path, every prayer that seemed unanswered, they are now being rewritten by the hand of divine purpose. And what unfolds next will prove that the hardship was never your final verdict. It was only the setup, a sacred preparation for a destiny far greater than you ever dreamed. Step forward, not with fear, but with faith. Do not look back with regret, but lift your eyes with expectation. The season of struggle is drawing to a close, not because you forced a way out, but because God opened a way through. The light of dawn is breaking over your story, and the very God who carried you through the fire will guide you into the abundance of what He has prepared for you. Make this your proclamation. God is faithful. God is sovereign. He is transforming my pain into purpose, my battles into victory, and my struggles into a testimony. The new chapter begins today, written by God's own hand, overflowing with peace, triumph, and the undeniable proof that He was with you every step of the way.